Hello guys and welcome back to another video. I am going to do today what I think you should know before going to camp. I've filmed these videos before, I've spoke about this before, I've spoke about some of the hard parts about camp, but I thought it'd be good to do a fresh one going into the 2025 season, which again is crazy. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but it's literally at the middle of October, and I think probably like end of October by the time this video goes up. I've got a lot of videos ready to go, but it's crazy to think that camp prep for next year is starting and is well and truly underway. But yeah, I thought I would do just what to expect, what to know before going, just because I think a lot of people may be coming to this whole camp process, the whole camping experience, obviously seeing videos on social media or seeing things posted, and it looks incredible. It is incredible. That is one thing I want to stress, but there's hard parts to it, as there is with everything. So I thought I would come on here, talk about some of the things that you maybe should know before you start applying, just so you know if this is going to be the right thing for you. But yeah, I'm also going to talk about some of the harder things, and then some of the absolutely incredible things that can come as a result of spending a summer working at camp. So first up, the one thing I want to talk about is that you're going to work with kids. Like, that is what this job is, and I think a lot of people maybe forget that or don't understand that and don't process that is what this job is. And a lot of the time when you do see videos on social media, like the videos that I post, a lot of the time it is very much like your fun activities down at the lake, the big event days, like dressing up, everything else. Like, that is such a small portion of camp. Like, that is the tiniest part of it. It makes up such a big part of camp, and they are such fun days, and there's so much going on, but there's also so much that you don't see online, and things that you obviously can't see, like when you are like waking all the kids up in the morning, getting them ready for the day, going to breakfast, going to meal times, shower hour, going to bed, different things like that. All the things that you don't see online, that is a really hard part of this job, and that's something that you really need to go and do, go into this experience remembering, is that is why you're going at the end of the day, to work with kids. That is what this job is, and you need to have a passion for it. You need to really want to bring a lot to that experience, and to your campers and to your co-counsellors, and just know that is the main part of the job. Like, those kids are your priority. They are the kids that you look after for the entire summer, whether it's for 7 weeks, they're there the whole time, or you have different kids every week, or you have different kids every day. Whatever it is, you are going to work with kids. So remember that, and know that yes, alongside all those fun days that you do see online, comes the harder days, comes the days where you've got some kids that are up at 3 in the morning because they miss their parents and they're just struggling to be away from home, or you've got kids in the dining hall that really just can't find anything to eat and they're really upset, or you've got kids arguing with each other over whatever it is. Like, it's hard, and it's things that you don't see, and you do have to know that is what you're going into this experience for. It's to work with kids, have this incredible impact, and make this experience everything you can for them, and make the summer as amazing for them as you can then make it for yourself as well. But yeah, again, like I said, something that you don't necessarily see all of the harder parts online, just because you physically can't show them anyway. But yeah, bear it in mind, that is why you're going to camp. Okay, next thing is that not every day is going to be sunshines and rainbows. I like to think that I say this quite a lot. I like to think that I make it very clear that not every day is going to be that incredible, typical on paper camp day that you see that you really want to have, because it's impossible. It goes for everyday life as well. Not every day is going to be sunshines and rainbows. There are going to be down days. There are going to be days that things are hard and you do struggle, and other people around you do struggle as well. So I think going into this experience knowing that there are going to be days that things are hard, I think is the best way for it. Like, you can't go into this expecting that every day you're going to wake up and you're going to have all this energy and everything's going to be amazing. You're going to have the best schedule, the kids are going to run the best behaviour, and everything's just going to run so smoothly, because it doesn't happen. Like, it does not happen, and that is the beauty of it. And camp is such an unpredictable environment, and you can't ever think that 2 days at camp are ever going to be the same. You can't even expect that 2 hours at camp are going to be the same. Like, 1 hour, the morning could be so smooth, everything could be going so amazing, then come the afternoon, everything's going wrong, and there's so much going on. So definitely go into it with the mindset that there are going to be days that it's hard, there are going to be days that you struggle, there are also going to be days that the people around you struggle as well, whether that be your campers, your co-counsellors. And the biggest thing to remember is that you're all in it together, and you're all there to help bring each other up, and that's what you're there for. And your co-counsellors are going to become your best friends and the people that you rely on for everything, and you really have to work together, because this is the one thing you can't do by yourself. It is impossible. So you really have to rely on each other and help each other up. There might be some days that you wake up and you're like, oh, I've got zero energy, I'm running at 20%, I'm gonna need some help. Like I need the help, you need help from the people around you to bring you back up towards that 100% mark. And then there might be a day where it's the opposite and your co-counselors feel like that and you've got that 100% energy. So you really do just have to work with each other and build each other up and be there for each other, and know that like, yes, there are going to be those down days, but there are also going to be those incredible days as well that are everything you ever imagined. But yeah, it is hard, and I always say like camp is the hardest job you ever love, but you have to go into it with the right mindset of knowing that there will be some days that you struggle, and that's completely normal. It would be strange if you went to camp and everything ran smoothly and you didn't have a day when you were like, oh my god, like I'm ready to go home. Okay, next is that the days are long. The days are long, and again, I don't know if this is something that people really go into this knowing or having like looked into enough, but the days are intense. Like at my camp, we wake up at 8 AM and we have obviously like lineups, breakfasts, we get ready for the day, and our activities start at around 10 o'clock. And then we have 5 activity periods with like lunch in there, rest hour in the middle, a snack time, and we finish at 5 PM. And then we have shower hour, then the kids get ready for dinner, we have evening activities, we have canteen, and then we go to bed. The days are long, and like on one of those days you might not have a night off, you might be on OD that night, you might be on duty, and that means you're then working straight into the next day. And it is intense, but then one thing you also do have to remind yourself of is that some of the things that you class as work and that you class as like, are you working, is you taking your kids down to water ski or going to soccer or going up the rock wall. And it's those moments when you look back, you're like, oh, like that was a day at work. And it is like nothing you'll ever have experienced work-wise. And being in an environment like that where you are there, that is what your job is, and you are helping these kids have the best time, taking them to activities, teaching them activities if you're a specialist, and just being there for them and creating an environment where they have fun and you have fun with them is so much fun. And yeah, you just have to remind yourself of that. Like, yes, the days are long and there's going to be days that you're like, oh my god, I'm so tired, you're literally exhausted. Again, that is normal. You have to just go with it. That is just camp at the end of the day, and it's something that I don't think it's never been lied about. It's never been said, oh yeah, you'll only work 8-hour days, you'll only do this, you'll only do that. Like, it is an intense environment. The days are long. Like I said, I am going to do a full video on like a day in the life at camp, just to kind of cover how things go, what things work as, times at my camp and different things, just so you have a bit more of an idea of how a day looks. But like I said, some of those times when you're working is like in the middle of the night when you're asleep, so it's hard to like balance it. You do have to remember that, like, yes, there are going to be days that are like, oh my god, this has been a hard work day, this has been tough. But there's also been other days where all I've done today is dress up, put like a full outfit on, like we've gone down to basketball, we've like had this big tournament, like it's been really fun. So yeah, you do have to put it into perspective. It does balance out, but the days are long. Okay, the next thing to remember is that you are in an environment with a lot of other people, depending on your camp. Like, I know some camps that have a much smaller staff. My camp has like 350 staff members, so we're a big camp. We have a lot of staff, and one thing you do have to bear in mind is that you're living in an environment with all of these people, and not everyone is going to be the same as you, not everyone is going to have the same personality, and not everyone is going to get on the same way. And that's completely normal, because you can't expect to throw even 10 people, even if your camp has 10 staff, you can't expect to throw 10 staff into a mix and expect all of them to get on like best friends. They might, and that would be incredible, but it doesn't always happen. And something you do have to bear in mind is that this is a strange environment to be in, and it's a strange environment to be in with so many people that you don't know, but you do have to go into it being a bit more understanding of other people and kind of learning how to live in that environment with so many people. It is something I want to make a video on, because I was speaking to my friend actually, and he said it would have been a really good topic to cover. And I thought, yeah, it would be such a handy thing to talk about, because for me, for example, like I never went to uni. I never lived in a uni environment, in a uni house, in halls. I never had that. Like, I went to camp and had the most amazing co-counselors and the most amazing time. So it got me thinking though about how some people that maybe are the same, that go into things not having any experience living with other people, or even if you have, like, it is still going to be a completely different experience, because even at uni you have your own room, you have your own space. At camp you do not have that. So I thought that would be quite an interesting video to film, just about kind of not knowing how to be around other people, but understanding that it's a hard environment to live in, and you live on top of each other. Like, there will be a lot of people in your bunk, campers and co-counselors, and you have to work with each other. You have to work together, and it is hard, and it is going to take a little bit of adjustment. The first day you sleep in the bunk is the weirdest thing. I remember my first night in the bunk 7 years ago. I was like, no, this is bizarre. Like, I don't like this. There's like people everywhere. Like it was just, it's obviously it's a very open space. It's very much like you're all there together, and it does get normal, and it actually gets really fun when you realise it's just like one big sleepover. But those first few nights are very strange, and it does take you a while to adjust and adapt to living with so many people. But yeah, definitely something I want to talk about in more detail, because I don't think it's spoken about at all. I've never spoken about it, and like I say, it was only recently when I was speaking to my friend that it got me thinking about how to, like, what to talk about and like give people some tips on things. And yeah, it is hard, but just to remember that you are going into an environment with a lot of people, campers, co-counsellors, head staff, everyone. Like it's intense and it's a lot, so just prepare yourself for that. A lot of the times you want to go to camp because you want to meet new people, you want to push yourself out your comfort zone, you want to try something new, which is amazing. So at the end of the day, we are very like-minded people that go to camp and go and do something like this, because not everyone will be able to go to camp and not everyone will succeed in a camp setting. So I always say it does take a specific type of person, but those specific type of people are all still different and their own person in their own way. So yeah, bear that in mind. It is intense, there's a lot of people, but it's also so fun, and you can meet your absolute best friends for life, which I absolutely love. Okay, and the last like more like harder thing I'm going to talk about, I did touch on earlier, is just that you will be tired. There will be days that you're absolutely exhausted and that you're like, oh, all I want to do is just have a lie-in, or I just need to like have a day in bed, watch a movie. And those days don't come. Like you don't have those days at camp, because when you're on duty, you're waking up, you're doing whatever you're doing, and you don't have the time to just go and be like, oh, I'm going to take the afternoon and curl up on the sofa and watch a film. Like it's not the same environment that you have those options to do at home. Obviously depending on certain camps, I know some camps that are day camps, you might have your weekends off and different things. Obviously at my camp we have 1 day off a week, and we have 4 nights off a week, sometimes 5 nights off with staff meetings, but that's a whole separate video. And you can choose to do what you want in that time off. That is completely up to you what you decide to do. And sometimes you do need a night in, you do need a night where you say, look, I'm not going out, I'm going to get into my pajamas, sit on the sofa, watch a film, chill out with my friends, and that is so fine. And you do need to take those days to do that, but you don't, what I more mean by that is that you don't have the option to just do it whenever. Like you're obviously still on a schedule and you're still on like a rota of when you are and aren't off. But yeah, I do always say, this is again going on to a whole different video now, but I do always say, like, when you are tired, try and listen to your body, try and give yourself the rest when and if you can. But it's also hard because the FOMO is real at camp, and you really don't want to miss out on the nights off and the days off, because you don't have many of them. Like at camp you have, I think it's 6 days off, 5 days off, like over the whole summer, over the 7 weeks. So those go so fast, and sometimes you're like, oh, well, like I am really exhausted, but I don't want to miss out. So you do have to find that balance, but you also do have to make sure that you're not going to come back the next day absolutely exhausted and not able to function, because then that doesn't help anyone, because then you're waiting a whole nother week for your next day off, if that makes sense. But yeah, you are going to be exhausted. Go into it knowing that it's completely normal to feel tired, and when you can, and if you are feeling at a point where you're like, no, I'm like absolutely shattered, I can't do this is really hard, talk to someone. Like there's people there that you can talk to, and there might be periods that you're able to have off or stay back in the bunk if you need them. Again, you want to try and balance it out and not make sure that you're doing that all the time. Like you wouldn't be able to do that if you were still going out on all of your nights off and all of your days off, but then asking to take periods off because you were tired. You have to have that balance, and you have to make sure that you're, yes, looking after yourself, but doing it in a way that you're taking your own time to look after yourself as well if you need to. But yeah, it's tiring, it's hard. You will literally, after camp, wherever you end up, if you come straight home or if you go traveling, when the next time after you're in your bunk, when you're then in like a normal bed, whether it's in a hotel or at home or wherever, and you're like, oh my God, like I've got no reason, like I've got no time to wake up in the morning, I've got no like schedule, I've got nothing on. It's nice to kind of keep your days after camp feeling like that, because that feeling is really nice. Honestly, you do then miss camp, you do miss being in the bunk, you miss being around so many people, but those first few nights are really nice to just be like, okay, now I can chill. Like this has been an amazing summer, but it's hard and it's long and it's tiring. But yeah, okay, now I want to go on to kind of like the positives of that. So like you've got all of those things, and then I'm going to talk about like the but you've got this, but you can do that, because with everything there always comes that. And like I said, like you have to, there's negatives in everything, like in life, like there's days that are hard, there's interactions that you have that aren't amazing, and like there's so much that goes on like normally that is going to be harder, and then you also have those positive days as well that makes those other days feel nowhere near as bad as they felt in the moment. So yeah, one that I touched on before is that it can honestly be the most rewarding experience if you allow it to be. Now, but what I mean by this is you have to have the mindset to want to make it successful for you and for your campers and for everyone around you, because if you don't go into it wanting to get everything out of it, you're not going to. So for me, camp has been the most incredible thing I've ever done, and I will recommend it to everyone to want to try, to at least give it a go and try it if that's something they're interested in, because it has shaped me in more ways than I can ever imagine. And the positives for me outweigh any of those hard days, any of those days where I was tired. It outweighs all of that massively. For me personally, I know for other people they go and they don't adapt and it's a completely different story. Anyway, I can only ever go off my experience at camp. And a little side note, I did actually have someone, like, I can't remember if it was a comment on something or where it was, but said like, I only ever paint camps out to be like this perfect, amazing place, and they're just like, I always talk about them as being like the most incredible thing, and like nothing bad ever goes on. And I was like, I have never in my life said that you will go to camp and have an amazing time. I have, and I can genuinely hand on my heart say that I've gone and had an incredible time at camp. Not everyone's experience is going to be the same. I wish I could give everyone the same experience that I've had at camp, but we're all different at the end of the day, and you can't expect to go and have the same experience. But you can go into it with a certain mindset and outlook on camp to give yourself the best chance of having the same kind of experience and having the best time. And I hope that makes sense, and I really always hope that people go into wanting to do this for themselves and for them to experience this and to, like I said, work with kids and have this experience and make such an impact on them and change so much yourself. And I really hope people don't go into this experience wanting to go and have that fun, cool summer that they saw someone post about online and not really do the type of research that you need to. Like I said, this is intense. Like, this is not an easy thing to go and do. So you need to have done your research before looking into it and really like making sure this is going to be right for you and you can be successful at camp. For me, like I said, I've had the best time, and I never would have imagined that 7 years ago I would still be going to camp now, and like now able to make this like my full-time all year round kind of job. So yeah, I like to think that I always am quite open about this and say that like, yeah, there are going to be negatives, there are going to be days that you're like, no, I can't do this. But for me, like I said, the negatives are completely outweighed by the positives, and those positives are going to be absolutely worthwhile, and the things you can gain from this experience are going to be like nothing else you can ever imagine or gain from anything else. For me, like I now live out, well, I moved out to Australia 2 years ago, and whereas this is also one of the best things I've ever done, it's completely different from camp, and camp is such a different environment, and you grow. For me, like I feel like I grew a lot more when I was at camp compared to here, because when I'm out in Australia, like I'm living normal life, like I'm set up in an apartment, I work remotely, I go out for food, I'm on my own schedule, whereas at camp you don't get that. It's a completely different vibe, completely different. But yeah, I feel like I've gone off on such a tangent and I can't even remember what I was talking about. But yeah, going back again, the impact that you can have on your campers is absolutely incredible. And the fact that I started with my girls when they were 7 years old and I was 19 and I've just turned 26 and they're literally like 14 and 15 and going to high school is honestly like, I have no words for it. And it makes me so grateful that I've had the opportunity to start with them and grow up with them and be seeing out their like camper careers, and then being at camp still when they're counsellors. Like that to me is absolutely huge, and I know that's not going to be possible for everyone. I know that a lot of people aren't going to be able to give 9 summers of their life to camp, which is crazy to think that's what it will have been by the time my kids have finished camp. But yeah, I'm really like, I have no words for the fact that I've been able to be with these girls for as long as I have, and that they have helped me grow just as much as I like to think that I've helped them grow. And seeing them change and seeing them develop, not only over the summers but over the years as well, is like one of the most beautiful things. And I will be forever grateful for the fact that I actually think I could cry. Oh my god, no, that actually made me so emotional. But yeah, the impact you can have on these kids is going to be insane, even if you literally end up going to camp for 1 summer. I remember something that really stuck with me when my first ever orientation at camp was we do something called the parent panel, and we invite some parents that have kids coming to Tyler Hill that year, and they come over to camp, we set them up, and they are on like a big panel up on the stage, and we get to ask them questions and talk to them about like what they want from us as counsellors, as people that are looking after their kids for the summer. And I remember one of the parents said like, I still remember my counsellor from when my first summer at camp. She was there for 1 year, and she was like, I remember her, and like she was incredible, and like I hope that she's doing well, and I hope she's thriving in life and everything else. And the fact that it really made me think, like, she was like 38 years old, I think, and she was like, and I still remember my camp counsellor I had my first year, and I think that was incredible to remember that the impact you can have is going to be so huge but not feel huge at the time. It doesn't feel like you have this, I don't know how to describe it, it doesn't always feel like in the moment that you are changing and you are doing as much as you are. Sometimes it takes those days to reflect back on it and have those days you're like, oh my god, like no, like this has been incredible. And the way that I've kind of been able to help shape this child's summer and just give them the most incredible opportunities and be that safe person that they can come to and talk to. And like I said, like these parents are sending their kids to camp for 7 weeks at my camp. I know obviously every camp is different, but for me, these kids come for 7 weeks and then the parents see them once that whole summer, and they are trusting you as a counsellor to look after their kids and to make sure they just have the most incredible time and to help them and to be that easygoing, understanding person that they feel comfortable going to with anything. And when do you ever get that kind of opportunity to have that kind of impact on someone else's kids? It's absolutely insane. But I feel like, again, I've gone off such a tangent. I actually could have cried then, guys, like not even joking. That made me really emotional. But yeah, the impact you can have on your campers is absolutely incredible, but you've got to put the effort in. You've got to really try with them. You've obviously, it's hard, like especially going in with any kids, even of any age, even if they've not been to camp before. Like those first few days at camp are strained and they are an adjustment, and you do have to really give it a go and put the effort in, and you might not feel like you get that effort back straight away, and that's normal, but it will come. It will come with time. You just have to take it easy, be yourself, and yeah, it all comes naturally. Okay, next up I'm going to talk about something that I'm so passionate about, genuinely believe in, is that you can make friends for life. I want to like do one of those, you know, the transitions where you put all the photos on the screen. I want to do that right now as I'm talking with all the people that I've met over the summers at camp, and genuinely people that I can see are going to be in my life forever, and people that are going to be around for like the biggest days of my life. And it makes me so happy to know that going to camp has allowed me to meet those people and make those friendships. And something I get asked quite a lot actually is like, oh, like as a returner, like do you just kind of like stick with the group that you know and like keep yourself like familiar with the friends that you have? And that couldn't be any more wrong for me personally. Like I keep going back to camp to meet new people. I keep going back to have the same connections that I had my first summer and that people going to camp do get as first timers, because that's what this whole experience is about, alongside working with kids and like helping your campers have the most amazing summer. It's about building relationships for you and creating friendships with people that you literally didn't even know existed at the start of the summer. And if I'd have gone into camp with that mindset, like even this last year, for example, of thinking, oh, like I've got a good group of friends coming, like people I know from years before, like I'm just comfortable, I'm going to stick with them, I genuinely wouldn't have met some of my best friends at camp this summer. So it's like, why would you ever want to do that? And I feel like if you are returning to camp for the right reasons, you're returning for like the same thing. You want to go and keep meeting people and having the most amazing time. So yeah, again, you've got to put the effort in though. These friendships aren't going to form themselves. You really do have to put yourself out there. And yeah, just know that there's so many, like I said, like-minded people that are going to camp and are there ready to make friends in the same boat as you. And yeah, it makes me feel so grateful for all the people around me. That genuinely, most of the people that I speak to every single day are all people I've met at camp, which is crazy, like my best friends. And it's even nice to think like people that I was so close to my first summer at camp, I maybe don't speak to all the time now, but I know that I can text them or call them at any time and they are there at the end of the phone. So yeah, they're really beautiful friendships and different friendships to anywhere else. And I think that's because camp again is such a overwhelming environment and an intense environment that you go from like not knowing someone to then living in a bunk with them and seeing them all day every day, and it speeds up the way your relationship forms, I think, if that makes sense. And honestly guys, when that last day at camp comes around and you're sobbing in everyone's arms because you don't want to leave, it's the worst feeling in the entire world. But it's also like a nice recognition for you to remember that you've had the best time, you've made all those connections, you've had such a good time with all these people, because now you don't want to leave. And it's nice when you feel that emotion about it. It's horrible in the moment because you don't want to feel those emotions because you don't want to be leaving, but it's a nice reminder that you've had such a good time. And the last thing I want to talk about is just the way that it can shape you as a person, the life skills it can give. Like, the confidence that I have gained from doing this is honestly insane. If you'd have told me 7 years ago that I would now make videos about camp and I would be like doing so many different job roles than I ever imagined I would do at camp, it's honestly like, I would never believe you. So the way that it has shaped me and has really helped me be the person that I knew deep down I always was but didn't have the confidence to be is incredible. And I think it's something to remember. Again, this all goes hand in hand with, like, you're only going to get out of this experience what you put in, so you really have to remember that. You're going to develop skills that you didn't even know you needed to develop more, like teamwork, communication, like I said, confidence, like so much. You can grow so much at camp, again, if you let it and you really allow yourself to become the person that you will become at the end of the summer. And you will look back and see the growth, and like the way that even like you felt at the start of the summer will be so different to how you finished the summer feeling. But yeah, you'll grow a lot as a person as well, and it's some of the most amazing things to come out of it. But all of this, you do just have to give it a go. You've got to really put yourself out there, push yourself out your comfort zone, because it's not easy. And sometimes it's the weirdest feeling to have to get up on the benches and like start singing and dancing in front of like hundreds of strangers. It feels weird, but it all pays off in the end, and it's so worth it. And yeah, I could actually cry thinking about just camp. Look. Okay, I feel like this was actually a longer video than I intended it to be, but I'm not mad about it because I love talking about these kind of things. So just as a summary, there are going to be days that are hard. Camp is hard. Camp itself is a very, very hard thing to do. The job is hard, but the rewards that pay off at the end and the things that you can gain from it and the impacts you can have are absolutely incredible, and in my opinion outweighs all of those harder days. But yeah, if you are thinking about signing up to camp but you have some questions and you're not 100% sure, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I know it can be intimidating, I know it can be daunting, and there's a lot to think about when you want to go and do this, but please make sure you do your research, really make sure that it is going to be something that you can see yourself doing and you're going for the right reasons. But yeah, if you are still looking to sign up for Summer Camp 2025, BUNAC's applications are still open, which is and so exciting. We actually have some hiring fairs coming up as well. So we have a hiring fair coming up in Manchester on October 26th. I'm not sure when this video is going to go up. It might have been gone by then, but I will leave all the details down below of signing up with BUNAC, the details. And if you do sign up, you can use the code VIC25 and you can save some money on your application, which is always so nice. And yeah, as always, please reach out if you have any questions at all. And I can't believe we're actually getting this excited for Summer Camp 2025. Guys, it's officially here. I actually could cry. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.